Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zachary Nolan. Carter Nolan is behind the camera.
Hello.
And welcome, all viewers. If you're a new viewer, this is kind of what more of our videos are like. If you just tuned in from doing all of our live streams in the playoffs, welcome. We're very appreciative of you being here. But this is kind of what we do for, 3/4 of the year that isn't playoffs, you know what I mean? So, for context here, if you're new here, I'm a Jets fan. And the Jets right now are not in a great spot. The Winnipeg Jets are kind of in a state of flux. They had successful runs in 2018. They had an okay run in 2021. 2022 was a disaster of a season. They missed the postseason by quite a bit. And a lot of their stars seemingly have uncertain futures with the Winnipeg Jets. Now, I'm going to talk about one in this video today, and we'll get to my thoughts on what will happen in the future by the end of it. But let's go through this, shall we? Pierre-Luc Dubois, a name that might not be a household name, but is a name that is beginning to creep up in the conversation for a lot of people that watch the Winnipeg Jets. Pierre-Luc Dubois was originally drafted 3rd overall by the Columbus Blue Jackets back in 2016. That was the draft where Austin Matthews and Patrick Laine was drafted. Yes, that Patrick Laine. He was pretty much advertised as a power forward, and rather than the other two rookies in the top 3 that played the first season that they were drafted in, Pierre-Luc Dubois took some time and went through the development process and then decided to play with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Notably, he was a part of the Columbus's all-in push in the 2019 season. Remember that season? That's where they decided to bring in, they pretty much kept Artemi Panarin, they brought in Ryan Dzingel, they brought in Matt Duchene, and then they won one series, and everyone really got excited, and then they got swatted down by the Bruins afterwards. Yeah. But anyway, that seemed to be the height of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and so far it has been. However, since recording, they have actually been able to rebound. But from then, the coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets, John Tortorella, began to have some sort of rift with some of the players on the team. Despite having a semi-decent run in 2020 where they beat the Toronto Maple Leafs but then lost in the next series to the Tampa Bay Lightning, there was a bit of a uncomfortableness to the situation. John Tortorella also has had problems with other players like Anthony Duclair, who now plays on the Florida Panthers, but because of this tension, it resulted in arguably the worst shift you'll ever see in history by Pierre-Luc Dubois, and was seen as a massive problem on the team that needed to be shipped off. Now, at the same time, we go to the Winnipeg Jets, who had signed Patrick Laine to a bridge deal, but were having trouble locking him down long term. And there were also reports that Patrick Laine was a bit of at an impasse with the locker room, most notably Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler. We will talk about them, possibly on another video, but they are two good individuals, but are frustrating individuals because they are very opinionated. After that 2017-18 run, they kind of took a little bit of a front row seat in the locker room politics, and it wasn't really welcome for Patrick Laine. All of this transpires, and long story short, Patrick Laine and Jack Roslovic, another player on the Winnipeg Jets that the Jets had struggled to get signed on a contract, and actually born in Columbus, Ohio, was shipped off to the Columbus Blue Jackets for Pierre-Luc Dubois and a 3rd-round pick. So, with Pierre-Luc Dubois getting traded to the Winnipeg Jets, it was actually kind of a slow burn process because this was the COVID season. The COVID season worked a little bit differently. If teams from Canada and US made a trade, they had to go through COVID protocol, which was about 2 weeks, I believe, that they were out. And then Pierre-Luc Dubois immediately got injured, so he really struggled to make an impact on the roster, although it was a good sign for Winnipeg Jets fans to see that he actually had roots in Winnipeg. His father actually worked with the Manitoba Moose, so it was a good sign, honestly. And honestly, as a fan of the Winnipeg Jets, I'll be the first one to tell you, it's hard to get players to stay here. So we kind of cherish whatever we get, but nonetheless, his slow start in Winnipeg would then result in him finally getting on the score sheet. He would get 2 goals and an assist in a game against Vancouver, and that would kind of be all right. He would go through a little bit of a slump, a little bit of a down year with the Winnipeg Jets. However, he would try to do his best. He wouldn't really, I don't think he scored a single goal in the postseason, which was a bit tough. However, his team did make the second round where they lost to the Montreal Canadiens. So it was a step in the right direction for the Winnipeg Jets, who had not got out of the first round since 2017-18. Now, let's fast forward to the next season. Dubois is serving the second year of his 2-year bridge contract at $5 million. He has a career year with the Winnipeg Jets where he develops as a power forward and also a bit of an agitator. He puts up not a career high in points, however, a career high in goals with 28 goals and 60 points. It's a great season, all things included. However, he does develop a little bit of a nasty streak. He leads the league in penalty minutes, but also leads the league in penalty minutes drawn. And that's a really deceiving stat because you look at it and you think, oh, so were these two separate instances? No, these were most often the same instance. Dubois picks a fight with someone, they both go off for 2 minutes or 4 minutes or however it happens. And no team really gains anything, but depends on who he gets matched up with. Like, if it's when he pretty much takes down Austin Matthews, then that's a good trade-off. If it's when he goes after somebody that is completely unskilled, then that's a bit crap. But anywho, he made a name for himself around the league, and then he had a very good actual World Championship final with Canada, where they made it all the way to the finals, pretty much battled back from a lot of deficits in the games, and were unfortunately unsuccessful in winning gold over Finland. And he's not a very good loser, he'll tell you himself, but it's interesting to see where it goes. Now, here's where the problem happens. The Pierre-Luc Dubois Winnipeg Jets have been completely unable to negotiate contracts. And Dubois is due for a contract, but Dubois also wants to test the free agency market in 2024, and that's in 2 seasons. So what ends up happening is the Jets are pretty much in a state of flux where they're trying to re-sign Pierre-Luc Dubois, but also at the same time, they don't want to just sign their own death warrant and then have Pierre-Luc Dubois walk, because that would suck as well. And he wants to test the free agent market, and specifically, he has been linked to Montreal. He wants to go to Montreal in the long term and play for the long-term future. And apparently, according to insider reports, he isn't hiding that, which is a bit of a problem, if I'm being completely honest. Like, you don't say these things. Anyone in a relationship will tell you that you don't say things about who you want to be with when you're not with that person. You keep that shit to yourself, or you go be with that person and not play the first one for a fool. So the Jets have a couple options here, and none of them seem great because, honestly, the law of diminishing returns is a real one in this case. What is that? It's when you keep trading away your assets, sooner or later, what you're trading back for was not worth what you originally started this trade tree. For example, we traded away a generational goal scorer and Jack Roslovic. And so if we trade away Pierre-Luc Dubois, we're not getting what we traded away in the first part. We're trading something of lesser value. And if we can't get anybody to stay in this goddamn city, then the value will just keep dropping until we get to somebody who just settles for Winnipeg. Just settles for it because they got nothing better to do. And that's not a good sign. So the Jets can play this a couple ways. It depends on how their team shakes up. But if their team actually becomes competitive, that can possibly be a way of convincing Pierre-Luc Dubois to sign long term, or at least at the very least, for at least like 4 to 5 years. Honestly, we'll take what we can get. But another way is test the market and then just trade them away at the deadline where possibly prices are at a premium and people are looking for high-end talent to take them to the next step. The other option is trading him now. And I don't want to trade him now because I feel like that is the option with the least value significance because it's not at a premium. And you're only going to then sign him to wherever you trade him to for 2 years. And that doesn't work great, does it? It really doesn't. So the question remains, what does Winnipeg do? How do we get around this? And honestly, I'm very nervous about how True North manages this situation, because notoriously we're not good at this. We're mostly good at just trading for assets. We're not good at re-signing them. That's why everyone leaves this city. But I don't know. I want to be hopeful, but this is a rough time for Winnipeg Jets. Jets fans, speaking of which, and other fans, what do you think the Jets should do? Comment down below your thoughts on this video. Don't forget to leave a like, because it really does help us out, and we really do appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time.
Connor, the old special top for Connor, and score! Pierre-Luc